Man versus gun.
Hello shooters, thank you for watching. Today's installment of Man vs. Handgun is the Smith & Wesson 686 357 Magnum. This is old school. This is what cops carried before the Wonder Nines came on the scene. So let's see how this old school 357 Magnum does on the Man vs. Handgun spreadsheet. Hello shooters, Smith & Wesson 686 4-inch barrel 357 Magnum. This is what was in a lot of cops holsters back in the day before the 9mm craze happened on the world. The weight on this thing is 2 pounds 9 ounces. To put that in perspective, 2.9, 2 pounds 9 ounces. Let's bring our Glock out here and see how many rounds we got to stack on this thing. Okay, so the 686 empty weighs the same as a Glock 17 plus 35 rounds of ammo. Now you can see why 35 rounds, 6 rounds, speaks for itself. At its widest point, the 686, the widest part is the cylinder. It's 1.560 inches wide, so it's pretty wide. And it's a pretty big handgun for having a 4-inch barrel, because you don't count the cylinder as part of the barrel. In an automatic, the way you'd measure a semi-automatic, you'd measure from here out to the end. In that case, you're closer to, over 5 inches, almost 6 inches, 5 3/4 inches. But with revolvers, you only measure the barrel part, not the cylinder. So this is a 4-inch barrel. It's a wide cylinder, and this is just a 6-shot. It's not a 7-shot like some of them these days. So it's okay for duty use. Wearing, in a outside the belt, outside the waistband holster, in like a duty rig. This is not a very good concealed carry handgun. A couple reasons. One, it's really heavy. I mean, the Glock plus 35 rounds equals this thing empty. And two, there's only 6 rounds. So with being such a big, heavy gun, to only carry 6 rounds that's why these aren't carried that much anymore. The receiver, the whole thing is made out of stainless steel except for the wooden stocks here. The back strap does feel comfortable. It's got a good shape to it. Smith & Wesson knows exactly what they're doing when it comes to building handguns. And you can get a variety of different grips. So I gave it middle of the road with regards to interchangeable back straps. This back strap isn't interchangeable at all, but you can get different stocks that will change the feel of the back strap there. Same with side panels. These stocks, you can get different stocks to change how it feels. So it got middle of the road there. Trigger pull. On single action, double action is when pulling the trigger does 2 things. It cocks the hammer and drops the hammer. That's double action. Single action is when the trigger does only one thing. That's dropping the hammer. Single action, the trigger pull is really, really, really nice. It's about 3.5 pounds. No creep. No take up. You just put your finger on it, slowly apply pressure to the rear, and 3.5 pounds later it goes. Double action is pretty dang smooth. Now this has seen quite a few rounds through it. New ones may be a little bit not quite as smooth, but it's got a really smooth 9.5 to 10 pound double action pull. So double action pull is really nice. Single action pull is really nice. So I got okay marks there. There's no magazine well, and the magazine well is not flared, but what I did take into account is that the chambers, individual chambers here in the cylinder, are not chamfered. There's a pretty sharp edge there that can catch around, so that they should be chamfered lightly from the factory. In place of the magazine release, I'm calling the cylinder catch here a magazine release. It's in a good spot. It's easy to, but it's only one side. It's not mirror image. Left hand, you really can't do it with your trigger finger. You pretty much got to switch hands and do it right-handed. Safety on almost every revolver on the planet is just the double action pull. So it gets high marks there because you don't have to deactivate anything to get this thing up and running. You pull it from the holster and you start pulling back on the trigger. The rear sight is a good design. At Smith & Wesson, they know how to build a handgun. It's adjustable for windage and elevation, and these dang things are really accurate handguns too. Front sight is a really good design too. Gets good marks for the front sight. There is no light rail on this, and it is not optics compatible. Back in the day, these were the going machine. This was the epitome of the fighting revolver back in the 70s and early 80s. Accurate, reliable. It's just heavy and carries 6 rounds and is not super fast to reload compared to most autos. But it deserves a place in the Man vs. Handgun series because this is an iconic handgun. The last of the great duty handguns is the Smith & Wesson 686. So let's take this thing out to the range and put some rounds through it. The Smith & Wesson 686 357 Magnum. I know there's still some wheel gun users out there, and if you're going to carry a wheel gun, yeah, this is heavy, but the weight is nice when you have to touch a 357 round off of this 4-inch tube. A lot of cops carry these before the semi-autos really took the country by storm. So this is a good iconic handgun too. This was like the last of the great handguns that cops carried. So it's a good piece. I'll never carry it, but it's a good piece. Thank you for watching. I appreciate all the shares, likes, and subscribes. Any questions or comments, please post them below. Ensure that your training and your practice is preparing you for the real world. Your real world. And not for the fantasy land of the shooting range. And until next time, have a great day.